You know those days, right, where you're so deep into what you're doing that the rest of the world just kind of fades away? Time flies, everything clicks, and you're just on fire. But then there's the flip side, that feeling of hitting a wall. Total and complete exhaustion, where you feel like you're running on fumes and just can't anymore. Well, today we're diving deep into these two states, the incredible high of being in the zone and the crushing low of being completely burned out.
So, let's start with the good stuff. Let's talk about that amazing feeling of peak performance.
What is that exactly? Well, psychologists have a name for it, flow. It's this mental state where you are so completely absorbed, so fully immersed in what you're doing, that absolutely nothing else seems to matter. And the cool thing is, it's not just for elite athletes or famous artists. Anyone can get there. And when you're in it, it's this perfect storm of things happening at once. You've got this laser-like focus on what's right in front of you. You stop second-guessing yourself. In fact, you almost forget you're there. You feel totally in control, and time just warps. Hours can honestly feel like minutes. And the best part? The work itself becomes the reward.
So, where did the name come from? Well, the psychologist who pioneered this research, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, found that when he asked people to describe this feeling, they kept using the same metaphor. They said it felt like being carried by a current, like floating. And just like that, the name flow was born.
Okay, but for every incredible peak, there's a valley. So let's flip the coin and talk about its exact opposite, that awful feeling of hitting the wall. And let's be really clear here, this is not just having a bad day or feeling a bit stressed. Burnout is a serious deal. So serious, in fact, that back in 2019, the World Health Organization officially recognized it. And their definition is key. It's what happens when you have chronic workplace stress that just hasn't been managed. See, burnout isn't just one thing. It's really a triple threat. First, there's the exhaustion, that deep, bone-weary feeling. Then, this mental distance creeps in. You start feeling cynical or negative about your job. And finally, you start to feel like you're just not good at it anymore. It's a really destructive cycle. So what causes it? Well, researcher Christina Maslach pinpointed these 6 major factors. And what's so important here is that pretty much all of them are about the environment, not the person. It's about an insane workload, having no say in how you do your job, feeling completely unappreciated, being isolated. You get the picture. It's a clear recipe for disaster because each one chips away at our basic human needs. Okay, so here is where it all clicks into place. Flow and burnout. They're not two separate things. They're actually two ends of the very same spectrum. I mean, just look at this. It's fascinating, isn't it? The things you need for flow are the exact opposite of what causes burnout. Clear goals versus having no idea what you're supposed to be doing. A sense of control versus a total lack of it. A challenge that fits your skills versus a workload that just crushes you. They're perfect mirror images of each other. And this really gets to the heart of it. Flow happens in that perfect sweet spot. The task has to be hard enough to keep you engaged, but not so hard that you freak out and get anxious. And your skills have to be good enough to meet that challenge. It's this delicate balance, right there on the edge between being bored out of your mind and totally overwhelmed. So, this is all really interesting psychology, right? But why are we talking about it? Because this stuff has huge, real-world consequences for people and for the places they work. Let's just look at some data for a second. In 2022, a survey in New South Wales found that 38% of public sector workers felt burned out. Let that sink in. That's more than 1 out of every 3 people, a staggering number. And it gets worse because that burnout isn't spread out evenly. The numbers are way higher for certain groups. For employees with a mental health condition, it's 50%, half of them. For frontline workers, nearly the same. This is way more than a productivity problem. This is a serious issue of health and fairness in our workplaces. And you better believe organizations feel the pain. It's pretty simple. People don't stick around in jobs that are destroying them. An employee who is burned out is over 2.5 times more likely to be hunting for a new job. Think about the chaos and cost of that constant turnover. And it's not just about people quitting. Even for those who stay, burnout takes a huge toll. They're 63% more likely to take sick days. And honestly, can you blame them? When you think about the mental and physical drain, it makes perfect sense. So all of this leads to the big, critical question. How do we fix this? How do we start creating workplaces that pull us towards engagement and flow instead of pushing us towards burnout? Well, the good news is the same research that laid out the problem also points to the solutions. It turns out there are 5 key things that make a huge difference. And look, they line up perfectly with what we've been talking about. It's about having enough time to actually do your job well, getting real support, having access to resources, feeling like you're paid fairly, and having some flexibility. It's not rocket science. And so that's what I want to leave you with. A pretty simple but powerful question. When you look at your own work, the demands, the control you have, the feedback, the recognition, what is it really designed for? Is it engineered to create flow, or is it a system that's built for burnout? Because one thing's for sure, it's rarely an accident.